So let's see how we can create a blueprint that is compatible with UnRemote2. In this case, we're going to create a camera control. So what do we need? First, we need to set up UnRemote2. So let's go to our show, go into our data types, and we would create a data type called cameras in this case. Okay, this will be a name and description. You take a look at this. It's just a name, cameras and description. So what's important here is to add a field. This field will contain the path to the camera that we want to switch to. In this case, it will be an unreal actor. So let's go to fields, and we have already set up. If we do it again, this will be like, let's say, a name, a variable, and then type, very important, that will be an unreal actor. Okay, I have done this already here. So this is correct. Okay, now we have the structure. Let's fill the content. So let's go to manage data. And then we see we have here 3 cameras. These 3 cameras correspond to our show, to these 3 cameras. So we want to create a new one. Let's say we want to create one from here. This one there. So this is very tidy and organized. This is our new camera. We want to create a new camera. Let's just say new camera. And then now what we have to do is just click on our camera and this button. So the path will be copied here. And then you save. Okay. So we have our 3 cameras already set up. So UnRemote2 is ready to go. So let's see how we can control this thing. Let's assume that we want to use this in our program. So next thing we have to do is we have to go to our program. For example, this one that is active, and manage the sections. We would create a new section called cameras. Okay. This section will be, let's create a second one and then we will delete it later, like camera control, wherever. This is, etc. Then important thing, which blueprint is going to control this and which data we're going to use. So in this case, the camera control is going to be controlled by this blueprint. So we will do the same. We would click on it, select it. Here we have our blueprint. And then the type of data we're going to send is cameras, the one we created before. And in this case, we want to show individual content, meaning that I will be able to click on each of the cameras to move to one or the other. Okay, so this is done already because this is this one. Okay, sorry, this will be here. Okay, this is the same exactly. Okay, if we want to manage the content, this is by default loaded with all the data, so we don't need to do anything. But if we say, for example, we don't want to use camera wide, we could disable here. Okay, but in this case, we want it. So I think this is all done. This is also the order in which we want the layout to appear. So when we go live, this will go here in the same order. Okay, we'll check this a little bit later. So let's go into Unreal Engine. So we said that that this camera is using this blueprint. This blueprint is actually this one. Okay, this one here. So let's see how this is done. Let's go step by step. One very important thing you need to know about blueprints for UnRemote2 is that you need to create some custom events that have a specific name. You cannot change that because that's how the system understands it. These events are init. It must be called like that. This is responsible for loading all the data and positioning the widgets in the original position before starting the show. Then you have start. This can be an animation or anything that will show or display the widget at the beginning. Like, for example, creating some fancy animation to create to show the data, the photo, or whatever. Same with end. This is when the widget goes away. And finally, change. This is going to be very important here. In this case, start and end, we're not going to use them because this is a camera control. We don't really have anything to show. But change will be important because when we click in a camera, we want the view to change to that camera. Okay, so let's go step by step very quickly. So first thing is init. So first thing we're going to do is we're just going to call a custom function called load data. This is for simplicity. I mean, this is very simple blueprint in this case, so I could do this here. but I generally do that to make it more organized. But well, load data goes here, okay? So load data, go here. We have several variables here. I have a camera maps and a data indexes. So camera maps is going to store all the information, okay? So this is here. This is a map that accepts a string and then moves to a string. This will give me the name of the camera and the path to the camera. So I'm going to store here all the paths to the cameras. And then data indexes. And then data indexes is just a helper array just to store the indices we're using. This will store the code that internally UnRemote2 uses. Well, let's go into it. So first thing we do when we load that data, we're going to clear all these arrays and all these maps. And then we go to this new function. We're going to pass again the maps and the arrays into this new function I created. And what this is doing is we're going to read from this file. So if you remember here, we were pasting the data. So this init function has a parameter called data. It is a string. This is a JSON string. So this is all the information that comes from UnRemote2. Okay, so this data comes here, this data comes here, and this data comes here. Okay, so what we're going to do is load the JSON file from this string. We get all the field names and save them into our indexes string. And then we're going to get each field and store them in the map. Okay, so this way we're going to have here, we are adding our map. So we are saving basically the name of the variable and the result. In this case, the result is the path to the camera. So everything is loaded here. So we have all the data loaded into our system, okay, into our data here. So if we go back here, as we said before, start does nothing, end does nothing. And then when we click on a camera, what we're going to do is getting all the actors of class Cine camera. So we're going to get all the actors, all the cameras, and then we're going to find in our arrays this value. Remember that this is really important. This is the variable that we are using to define this field. So if we go back here to the fields of the camera, this is this value. This value must be the same as this one. This is why this must be really synchronized. So we find the camera, we compare to the path string. So for each camera, we're going to look the one that has the same path. Once we find it, we just change to it. So that's basically it. Let's see if this works. Let's go live, run the program, initialize sections, and then we go to cameras, and we can switch to one camera, second camera, third camera, back to first. So we can do a live camera control. So this is a simple blueprint. We will go into more complicated ones next. So stay tuned. See you